As a father, whenever I want to discipline them, being a father, I really have to think critically. I have to bring them up to be the best version of themselves, but I have to think, will it break them if I'm going to do this, that kind of discipline?
As a leader of a group of critical care nurses, any mistake you have could have a very deterrent effect on a patient. You just have to make sure that you yourself develop critical thinking so you apply it in your everyday lives. When you see a situation, you extract the good in it.
As a parent, I just want my children to grow into their unique person. I gave them space where they can voice out their thoughts, explore, experiment, encourage their curiosity. I strive to have honest conversation because I want to get to know them better.
Critical thinking is essential. I am dealing with varied employees, trying to cross that bridge to communicate that involves criticality. My employees will see what to do, the proper way, the proper approaches. You need not say a word, but they will see in you that you are a mirror of what you say. That elicits following, that elicits cooperativeness beyond resistance.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, world. Welcome back to our podcast, Critical Thinking in an Age of Noise. I am so excited to be back and do this second episode entitled Leading with Clarity and Criticality from Home to the Workplace. In this episode, we continue our journey of discovering how criticality does not only shape our thinking, but it is the way we live, lead, and love. I am so honored to have my dear guests today. So I'm going to introduce them to you. On the left is Engineer Irene Alvaro, a businesswoman. Next to her is Dr. Wilfred Ramos,
Hey.
a nurse and the Vice President for Academic Affairs at Wesleyan University, Philippines. And Miss Rio Ann Dizon. She is a preschool teacher. And she is currently the head executive assistant to the president, at the same time, the director of internationalization and linkages. Thank you for being here. I am so honored and humbled that you came so that we could help people make sense of what critical thinking is. We started this with episode 1, dealing deeply on why it is imperative to cultivate criticality among people.
Mhm.
Why do you think we really need to cultivate critical thinking? You are all parents, mom, dad, mom, from home to workplace. Can you share why this is imperative?
Equally honored, Ma'am Gladys, to be here. And yes, critical thinking is so vital in any endeavor, from especially from home to the workplace. Um, Particularly nowadays, where information is so vast, information is so overwhelming, from children to the staff that you are trying to govern, trying to lead. Critical thinking is really a vital one when it comes to the operations, going to the decision making processes, everything. It's really ubiquitous. You can never live without it.
Thank you, Engineer Irene. Thank you for saying that it is really so important and vital.
Yeah.
Dr. Ramos?
Yeah, I agree with you, Ma'am Irene. It's very true. As a father of 3 children, it's really hard to bring them up at this point in time because of the advent of especially of the AI, not only with the social media. So as much as possible, whenever I want to discipline them, being a father, I really have to think critically. I have to bring them up to be the best version of themselves. But I have to think, will it break them if I'm going to do this, that kind of discipline? So I have to think it over and over, something that is acceptable with them as well. If I'll be doing some form of discipline, so somehow I'm happy that I'm doing it quite well with them. So they are all performing well in their schools, in their academics, and even when they are also dealing with their friends, and even in the church.
Thank you. You are saying that discipline really
Yeah,
is needed
yeah,
when we do this.
yes,
Thank you. Ma'am Rio?
Well, critical thinking is important because it helps me and my children to make sense of the world as a whole. Because of too many information, opinion, disinformation, we need to teach our children how to question so that they will arrive to the truth and make informed decision. So critical thinking is not only for me bringing them up, but also teaching it to them so that when they go outside in the world, they will have this moral compass that will help them navigate in whatever situation they may be. So that's how important critical thinking is.
I love that moral
mm,
compass. They are all educators. They help individuals make sense of what criticality is. Can you share how you apply this in home and in your workplace?
Um, in my businesses, as I've mentioned before, vast information come in. And it is incumbent upon me to exercise critical thinking first and foremost by trying to validate, by trying to evaluate, assess the truthfulness of information. There is no space for you to be misled by fake news or um, mere speculations or hearsay data and even grapevine conversation. So that is a no-no. It is again incumbent upon the critical thinker to really assess, evaluate properly the truthfulness and validity of information, not only at home, but most especially in business,
Mhm.
because your decision will somehow be based on this information. We know that trash in will be trash out. And with the vast entrance of all this data, well, I am sure you have to cook it well to come up to properly evaluate all of this. So it is not only the evaluation process or the assessment process, it must come first the validity of the truthfulness of the information and the data that will be your instruments, the main foundation of your decisions.
And when you do it, it's not really easy.
It is not.
When
It
you
is not
say you need
easy.
validation, assessment, and evaluation, it is hard. It is rigorous, you know.
Yes. But you have to be, that comes in the criticality of things. Um, Sometimes you have to really research, you compare, you analyze, and you try to see behind what you can touch, but you can see. There are other things underneath
Mhm.
that will be the probably the characteristic of being sensitive enough. Go beyond what you see and what you can hear.
Thank you for that. It's going beyond the surface.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Engineer Alvaro.
okay,
Dr.
okay, thank
Willie?
you. I'm a nurse by profession, and so hello, all the nurses out there. I think from the very beginning, as a nurse, we are really applying the procedure. We call it ADPI. Okay, so we start with assessing the situation. When patients arrive in our care, we have to assess, we have to diagnose, we have to do the implementation, we have to do the planning, and then we have to evaluate. So from those steps, the process, and then we had the evaluation, and then it didn't succeed. We have to go back again in the assessment. So from being a nurse, and then I became an academician. And right now, I'm having this post of being the vice president for academic affairs. It is very relevant that we also do that same procedure. Okay, so we have to assess, especially in the academic landscape. There are so many regulations that we have to apply, especially in the Philippine setting. So when new regulations have just been released, we really have to look into it. How are we going to adjust ourselves? And even because I have to deal with different kinds of people from different backgrounds. I have uh, 11 programs in the university. So as much as possible, I have to listen to all of them. And because they are from different people, I have to really weigh the information they're giving me. So there's really criticality there. And so one of the things that I also do is I have to empower them. I have to listen to all of them, and I have to weigh, evaluate all the things that they're talking about, and have to discuss it with them. So we should have a common ground in making decisions. It's not only me, although I am the administrator. It's not enough that I have to do the decision making. It should be There should be a commonality in the decisions that we are having, so that there is the acceptance of whatever will happen. We all agreed with this, so we have to do our very best to reach what we want to reach, to gain what we have to gain. So that is the important role of critical thinking during this time in the academic setting. So it's like being a nurse in the academe, it blends well.
Yeah, I love that. When you said giving them space to be listened to
Yes.
be heard, and to be seen,
Mm.
that is really empowerment. Thank you, Dr. Willie. Ma'am Rio.
Well, Ma'am Gladys, as a parent, initially, I just want my children to be to grow into their unique person, to develop their individuality, and to follow their purpose as God wants them to be. So I gave them, just like Sir Willie, I gave them safe space where they can voice out their thoughts, where they can explore, experiment, encourage their curiosity. And I, as a mom, I listen to them sincerely. And I strive to have honest conversation because I want to get to know them better. And over time, I realize what we are practicing is already nurturing critical thinking. Now, in the workplace, as a preschool teacher, I consider my students as my own children. So I apply the same principle inside the classroom. Then, as a believer of the multiple intelligence, critical thinking and intelligence very beautifully complement each other, because we need to understand that thinking and reasoning is not the same in every person. We need to build this respect and see persons as who they are, not just what appears on the ground. That's why when we train our children to be mindful of others, we are teaching them to be critically caring of others too. And that way, it's compassion that propels the student to look at each other and to treat each other well. And by that way, they are living the purpose that they have, because they get to know each person's beyond what is in front of them. That's how critical thinking transcend from our home to my school.
So lovely to know how a mom like you, an educator, nurturing the small people, the kids, the children, giving them space. And that actually is respecting their uniqueness, their humanity, because you are providing space to express themselves.
Mhm.
And that is so heartwarming to know. Thank you. We have our businesswoman, our nurse to academics, and our teacher nurturing the kids, preschool teacher. What seems to be the problem? Why there is resistance, in doing this? What do you think hampers them to really intentionally give space to for the critical thinking to be cultivated? What do you think is an issue or a problem,
Um, can
Ma'am
I answer?
Rio?
Maybe because of our cultural background as Asian, it seemed that questioning the authority is a form of disrespect. That's why we get too shy to ask, to clarify, or even to voice out our disagreement. But inside our home, we practice this questioning the authority in a respectful manner. We need to empower our kids to express their thoughts, to voice out their emotion so that we can gain clarity. I myself can understand what they feel, and in return, they will respectfully listen to my side too. And by doing that, we can meet halfway and see what is the best thing to do in whatever situation that we have in.
So there is always a need to collaborate, to work together, not
Yes.
only one-sided, but the two of you shall meet halfway. Thank you, Ma'am Rio.
I think, Mom Gladys, for me, um, people really don't want change because we are comfortable with what we are doing. I think we know the saying, the only permanent thing in this world is the word change. So for me, just like what I've experienced being in the academics, whenever there's a new regulation that we have to apply, people keep on resisting. How come we are already doing this quite well? How come we have to follow another one? That's the thing. So I think if you will not be following, being critical in those kind of situations, you will get lost because we really have to go with the flow with what's really happening. Just like what I mentioned a while ago, with the advent of the AI, we as an academic institution, we should just say no to AI. It should not be treated as an adversary. It should be treated as an ally. It should be somehow helping us in order for us to do our uh, our jobs quite well. However, we should be responsible and ethical in using that. So it's like that. Change is inevitable. It's there. So we have to embrace it. And through the critical thinking, we could go through it little by little. It's a process, and we have to live with it.
We have to live with it.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that, Dr. Wilfred. And thank you for saying that we really have to double time
Hmm.
while there is an AI now that we are embracing. We have to cultivate criticality so that
Yes.
they will be more responsible and accountable and ethical.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Engineer?
In business, I am dealing with varied employees, and every employee is an unique individual. So trying to build that bridge, to cross that bridge, to communicate and to get their hearts to work well, that involves criticality. And each individual has their norms.
Mhm.
So you have to cut through that norm.
Mm.
What is normal become a norm, of course. So it is hard to change that. But there are different approaches that I apply. Yes, you will feel resistance. You are right. Approaches like management by example, leading by example. I have We have a resort. So I have to do housekeeping because I have to walk what I talk. I have to do cleaning. I have to do guide ocular for walk-in clients so that they will see my employees will see what to do, the proper way, the proper approaches. Another management that I exercise is management by just walking around.
Mhm.
Be visible without saying any word. They can see you, how you posture yourself, and how you deal with the guests, as well as the surroundings, everything. You need not say a word, but they will see in you that you are a mirror of what you say. That elicits following, that elicits cooperativeness beyond resistance.
That is so good. Thank you, ma'am, for saying that it is embodying what you are saying. It is walking your talk. Thank you, because you are really showing that. You have said that in your business, in your resort, you do as well housekeeping. Thank you. To our dear listeners, Engineer Alvaro is so busy. She has an equally important commitment this time. But we will listen to her parting words before she leaves.
Critical thinking is essential. Fighting it, doing against it is not an answer, but embracing it will lead you to success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Irene. We are so honored to have you, Ma'am Marie Chris.
Thank you.
I am humbled to introduce you, and we the team, my guests, are so happy that you will share what you do here in the hospital where you work
Oh, okay.
using critical thinking. But let me introduce you. Ma'am Marie Chris Gozon Talent is the director of cardiovascular ICU, step down, respiratory and nursing administration in Abrazo, Arizona Heart Hospital. She's the treasurer from the Philippine Nurses Association of Arizona.
Right.
She's also a Filipina from Pampanga,
Yes.
but she lives here in Arizona. And we are so glad to hear from her end, from her domain, how she uses criticality in her work. And then how imperative for her critical thinking is. We would like to listen to you, ma'am.
Okay. First of all, I work in a critical care area, so every day to me is criticality. Critical thinking is a must at that point. And as a leader of a group of critical care nurses, um, we have to exercise and always have, like, not in our pockets, this just should be in our DNA, that we have critical thinking skills. So as a leader of that pack, I have to ensure that they all develop their critical thinking skills, meaning, they have to analyze everything. I mean, we work in a nursing world. Any mistake you have,
Mm.
could have a very deterrent effect on a patient. So we always have to be on our toes, but, on a level of a thinking that, you know, that you always have to have the right answers and right thing to do, because you'd always have to be in the know. So you always have to analyze everything, follow the nursing process.
Yeah, it has to be very intentional.
Yes,
And you said it should be in our DNA.
correct.
How do you give space as director? How do you give space so that the people you are administering, you are leading, for them to cultivate their criticality?
Well, first of all, you step back. It doesn't mean that you're the leader. That means you direct everything, you say everything, or they follow you, they all follow you. You'd have to listen to them too. You'd have to let them think. That's when they develop their critical thinking as well. And you, as the leader, you also have to learn from them. nobody knows everything. I don't know everything. So as a team, I empower my staff and my leaders to critically think, to think of like little things. You know, example in nursing, you look at the numbers on the monitor.
Mhm.
Does it match the patient? If it doesn't match, there's something wrong with it. So that's when you develop your critical thinking. So I step back. I don't tell them oh, this is wrong or this is right. I would have to have them think so they could confer with me if it's correct or not. If they're wrong, then I teach them. If they're right, then I encourage that thinking. So I cultivate it that way. So when they teach the new nurses, they help them develop the critical thinking skills too.
Thank you. We've been talking about some of the issues and problems, resistance from the people. Have you had any issue when you introduce, and when you train your nurses?
Yes.
What are the common issues and problems?
Well, common issues and problems, there's older nurses, there's
Mhm.
newer nurses, there's
Mhm.
AI, there's, um, new ways of doing things, but there's always evidence based practice.
Mhm.
So, as a leader, you would have to listen to all of them because they all have the right things to say in their own way. But you will always have to ensure that you all listen to them, take the facts, extract, the non essential ones, and then you come up with a solution. So you empower them that way, and then they all would follow the same thing. We all follow a process that makes you think, not just, we cannot be stuck in our old ways. We always have to look at what's the latest trends, follow it with evidence based practice, so you could deliver excellent patient care. Bottom line, for nurses, for in the healthcare industry, the most important person there is the patient.
Yeah.
Not you, not the doc, not the administration. It's the patient.
It is the patient. Thank you for mentioning that evidence based thing, because critical thinking emphasizes the accuracy, precision, and that's evidence based.
Correct. That's
Thank
why
you.
we would want to make sure everybody who's doing research and their waste is not, or their work is not going to waste. You want to make sure you also empower them to raise awareness, publish it. It makes it evidence based, so that everybody, not just in my unit or it's everybody else's unit or field, they would be able to exercise and um, follow the evidence based practice.
Thank you so much. Can you give your message to the families today, the home and the workplace? Because critical thinking has evolved. Actually, they see it as a negative thing because
Mhm.
critical word has a wrong notion that
Mhm.
critical is being so critic. You just criticize things, but criticality is really like the patient in the ICU constantly monitoring
Mhm.
her situation. So the thinking shall be constantly monitored.
They're married.
They are
Very
married. That's
good.
a
They're
very
married.
good one. Yeah. Can can I ask your message to the families today and the workplace on how they could advance their criticality because of this evolution that has been happening? The situation around the world, in Asia, in the Philippines. I know they are full of chaos, news, but critical thinking in an age of noise.
Mhm.
What is your message to them?
Well, critical thinking in this day and age, there's AI, there's,
Mhm.
traditions, there's other stuff that's happening. You just have to make sure that you yourself develop critical thinking so you apply it in your everyday lives. You just have to, when you see a situation, you extract the good in it.
Mhm.
and then learn from that good and then follow that good. If you
Mhm.
see anything that's not that good or not relevant, take it off. That's when you develop your critical thinking and accept feedback. If if somebody critiques you, I know it's a human reaction to say, you're going to give pushback.
Mhm.
Well, you
Mhm.
shouldn't. You should internalize it and say, well, he would not or she would not say that unless he had seen it in me. So you just have to, that's when you grow too. That's when you also develop your critical thinking.
Absolutely.
Somebody told you you're wrong, you accept it and learn
Mhm.
from it, grow from it.
Thank you,
You're welcome.
Sir Wilfred.
Okay, for me, I think just what I mentioned a while ago, that we have to embrace change, as well as we should really accept and embrace criticality. Um, it's very important that we have to be one step ahead in everything that we do, even in the family, even in the academy, even in the clinical area. We really have to know what we are talking about. We have to read a lot. We have to listen to the news. We have to know the current events. We have to understand all those things. We should not only stay within our own comfort zones, because if that would be, we will get lost. We'll be left behind. So we really have to embrace criticality. We have to be we have to innovate in things that we do, because that is now the trend of the times. So it's here to stay and we have to live with it.
Thank you, Dr. Wilfred. Ma'am Ria?
So add to what Dr. Wilfred said, inside our homes, we need to have this constant, sincere conversation where our family can voice out their uncensored thoughts,
Mm.
where together we can triangulate data, we can process our thoughts. Since I believe that critical thinking is a collaboration, we need each other to point to us what are the things that are just biases on our part, and what are the things that are really facts that matters in the decision making. So let's not stop conversing, because with all that stuff that is around us, we need to talk together so that we will not veer away from what I called earlier our moral compass, because this will help us to decide, to think critically, and to respond with purpose in everything that we will get to decide and do.
I am so honored and humbled to have you as my guests, because you just shared gems that no amount, no money could buy. You know, the importance of criticality in your nursing practice, being a director, leading your team, embodying the principles of criticality. Thank you for that. Thank you for giving space for your children and for all the deans that you are leading. Thank you for saying that we really have to seek, you know, the transparency, the
Yes.
truthfulness of everything. And thank you for nourishing the kids, our next generation. You know, the world today is chaotic,
Mm.
so noisy. You know, there is the divide and rule thing. But with what you are doing, Ma'am Marie Chris, thank you so much. Sir Wilfred, maraming salamat. Ma'am Rio, maraming salamat. This conversation will go a long way. We will continue our journey. Thank you, dear watchers, viewers, and listeners. Thank you, because in the next episode, we will be dealing with the mental health. How do we use critical thinking in helping our young professionals in dealing with the mental health? Thank you. Mabuhay.